Good morning to one and all. Today we are going to give a brief lecture regarding the National Nutritional Week that is being observed throughout our country, especially in the Ministry of the Railway. On behalf of the Divisional Railway Hospital, the Malda, we are going to demonstrate a very short lecture on National Nutritional Week. So first point, what is the ideal nutritional status? So the nutritional status or nutritional intake varies from person to person. For the person who is a laborer, the nutritional requirement is much more than a person who is sitting and doing idle his job. So the ideal nutritional status is fulfilled when the nutritional intake of an individual balance the nutritional requirement of pursuing his day-to-day activity. So it is a balanced phenomenon. So this is the ideal nutritional status. What is now coming to the point, what is the need for maintaining the ideal nutritional status of a person? Number one, for ideal nutritional status helps in maintaining the physical and mental well-being. This is a very good, very important necessary things for our good physical and mental well-being. Number two, it helps to cope up common infectious diseases. For the persons who is having malnourished or obese, they are more prone to develop infection, viral, bacterial, etc. infection easily. So to cope up from common infectious diseases easily, we need a good nutritional and balanced nutritional status. Next, to have a good immunity, definitely we need to have a good nutritional status. And last, to avoid problems with obesity. One common myth that malnutrition means only the undernutrition, lean, thin person. That is not. Obesity is also a type of malnutrition. So the problem arising from the overweight or obesity, like the early development of the type 2 diabetes mellitus, the early development of the coronary artery disease and the gallstone, these are the problems of overweight. So all these things needs to be avoided to maintain a good physical health. So obesity is also a type of malnutrition, not the underweight. Now coming to the assessment, how can we assess whether the person nutritional status is normal or deranged? So there is an internationally accepted criteria, that is the BMI, body mass index. It is a very simple formula, weight in kg divided by height in meter square. We have just to calculate the weight in kg divided by height in meter square, height in meter divided square. So normal range is 18.5 to 24.99, average range is 23. So if the BMI of a person is 23, we can call it him or her to be normal nutrition, having normal nutritional status. He is neither overweight nor underweight. If the body mass index is less than 18.49, then it is called undernutrition. If the body mass index in between 25 to 29.99, it is overweight. And if the body mass index in between 30 to 39.99, it is pre-obese. And if the body mass index is more than 40, we can call him obese. So it is a very useful tool and internationally accepted tool also to assess the nutritional status of an individual. Now coming to the Indian reference. In our Indian scenario, there is a term that is called reference men, reference women. So whom we can call in our Indian scenario the reference man. Number one, the male should have weight around 60 kg. He is physically fit and able to do any type of activity and free from any diseases, and he is engaged 8 hours in sleep, 8 hours in moderate household activity and 8 hours in heavy activity. So if all these criteria is fulfilled, we can call in our Indian scenario, he is a reference man. Similarly, reference woman weight should be 55 kg and all these parameters are same. So that is 8 hours sleep, 8 hours moderate household activity and 8 hours is heavy activity. So this is in our Indian scenario the definition of Indian reference man and Indian reference woman. Anything beyond, much more beyond that this reference range, we can call it as undernutrition or obese. Now coming to the other parameter by which we can assess the nutritional status of a person apart from the body mass index. Now coming to the anthropometric measurements. These are the very simple measurement we can do in a health checkup and common health checkup in school or any common clinic, that is the mid-arm circumference. Usually a non-stretchable tape is used and close to 0.5 centimeter range is taken into account, the mid-arm circumference. Next coming to the head circumference. Chest circumference usually done at the nipple level. The waist circumference is usually done at the umbilicus level at the end of expiration with non-stretchable tape, and the close range to 0.5 centimeter is taken. Now coming to the hip circumference. So all these parameter and the skin fold thickness is also an important predictor value on anthropometric measurement to assess the nutritional status of an individual. Another important parameter, that is the WHR, waist hip ratio. This is the waist circumference, that is the measuring tape taken at the level of the umbilicus divided by hip circumference. In male, if it is more than 80 and female if it is more than 95, we can call it as obese. So, it is another important anthropometric parameter to assess the nutritional status, whether the person is having obese or undernutrition. We can get this nutritional status easily. Now, coming to the other things, clinically in our clinic, how doctor can get an idea about the nutritional status. From head to toe, this is the hair. Hair easily tells upon the nutritional status of an individual. Especially in children, there is a term called flax sign. Flax sign means alternate white and dark band. In a single hair, there is during the period of malnutrition, the hair turns white, and followed by period of normal nutrition, the hair turns black. So, alternate white and black band, this is the flax sign. This is usually seen in protein energy malnutrition in children. So, here is an important predictive value to assess the nutritional status. Now, coming to the eye, one of the important vitamin A deficiency is called the bitter spot. There is a triangular whitish foamy spot in front of the eye that will impair the vision, that is solely due to responsible of vitamin A deficiency. So, bitter spots and conjunctival xerosis, dryness of the conjunctiva, dryness of the cornea, corneal xerosis, and the keratomalacia, all these things, from looking at the eye, we can have a rough assessment of his vitamin A deficiency nutritional status. Now, coming to the eye, lower palpebral conjunctiva, that is the pallor. Definitely in iron deficiency anemia, the pallor is obvious. Apart from the lower palpebral conjunctiva, there are other common sites like palmar pallor, the tongue pallor, the oral mucous membrane. So, all these sites to be looked for to assess the nutritional status, mainly the iron deficiency anemia status of a person. Next, coming to the mouth. See, in vitamin B12 deficiency, there is angular stomatitis, there is ulceration on the angle of the mouth, that certainly indicates subtle vitamin deficiency. So, the person or the patient needs immediate corresponding vitamin supplementation. Now, coming to the other things, that is the goiter. In iodine deficiency, especially in the iodine endemic area where there is a deficiency of the iodine in the food continent, there is a hypothyroidism and subsequent low thyroid hormone, as iodine is required for development of the thyroid hormone. So, once the thyroid hormone reaches low, subsequently the negative feedback effect over the pituitary goes off. So, there is a increased TSH and enlargement of the thyroid gland. So, development of the goiter, neck swelling, that is an important predictive value of the iodine deficiency status of a subcontinent. So, goiter is an important predictive value of the nutritional status, the neck swelling. Next, coming to the other vitamin deficiency like the vitamin B1, that is very, and there is a thiamine deficiency, there is a, in severe form there is a Wernicke's encephalopathy characterized by ophthalmophagia, peripheral neuropathy, ataxia, mental disorientation. There is a visual problem, there is a peripheral mental confusion, and there is a peripheral nerve involvement. So, all these things due to vitamin B1 deficiency. Another B1, that is the examination of the patient tooth and gum is also important, because vitamin C, which is the lemon, amla, these are the very rich source of vitamin C. So, on deficiency of the vitamin C, as this vitamin helps in formation of the collagen, and that is the supporting tissue of our blood vessel, the blood vessel becomes very fragile. So, there is a easy bleeding from the gum, there is a swelling bleeding gum. So, these things, the vitamin C deficiency, there is a called the disease scurvy, there is a gum becomes bleeding in children, they will complain that after brushing they are suffering from bleeding from the mouth. So, just a piece of lemon supplementation along with the food, that helps to obviate the problem. Next, coming to the vitamin D deficiency, that is the rickets, osteomalacia, all these things, weakness from the bone, fragility, fracture, all these things will happen in subsequent vitamin D deficiency. Mainly the animal food like the meat, like the egg, these are cod liver oil, these are the all good rich source of the vitamin D. So, all these things need to be taken in proper balanced amount to have a optimal physical and mental well-being and assess a good nutritional status. Next, coming to the other things that from which we can assess a rough idea whether the person is having the nutritionally optimized or not, that is the dietary survey. So, the person is taking a very large amount of calorie and eating everything, but in a good well established family, but his nutritional status is not good. Why? They are not taking in a proper balanced amount. So, the dietary survey, the 24 hours recall method that is commonly taken, this is a very important, just to ask the person the amount of food and the things of the nature of the food they have taken in the last 24 hours, and to have assessed the total amount of calorie, vitamin, mineral and all these proteins things. So, for assessment whether it is optimal not for as per this age, as per his physical demand also. So, these things to be taken into account to assess the nutritional status. Next, coming to the laboratory assessment. These are all clinical assessment, anthropometric measurement, the body mass index. Last, coming to the laboratory assessment by blood investigation like the simple hemoglobin and the albumin globulin level and the estimation of the serum level of the corresponding vitamin, vitamin D, vitamin D3. So, estimation of the all these things by simple laboratory assessment, if these values are lower than the normal range, we can get an idea that yes, the person is having certain vitamin, corresponding vitamin or the nutritional deficiency, and that helps in early institution of the corresponding management. So, the normal value are of hemoglobin, as we all know, around 14.5 plus minus 2.5 in male, around 13 plus minus 2.5 in female. Albumin globulin, albumin around 3.5, globulin around 7, and the serum level of the corresponding vitamin, which is also important to assess the nutritional status of the patient. Another things that means to one common mistake that everyone thinks that for being a good protein all needs to take in meat, fish, etc. But the actual clinical picture is not that. Even taking a rice or simple rice or dal, the person or individual can take a good balanced amount of all this nutritional requirement that is required as per his age, as per his physical demand. That is the supplementary action of the protein. What is this? That is the, if we take rice and dal in proper amount, the total 20 amount of essential amino acids, that is starting from the phenylalanine, tryptophan, methionine, isoleucine, lysine, threonine, valine. So, all these 20 essential amino acids that is required for development of our proper muscle and proper physical status, we can get from just by combination of these two things, because rice is deficiency in two essential amino acid and dal is deficiency of another essential amino acid. So, if we combine these two things, so all these 20 essential amino acid we can get from just by combination of the simple vegan diet. So, this is the supplementary action of the protein. Now, just I am towards the end of my lecture. Now, coming to the some problems, that is the obesity is also a type of the malnutrition. Definitely uncontrolled obesity will lead to type 2 diabetes mellitus, the coronary artery disease and early development of the gallstone. So, thank you for your patient attention.